All right, so below compare fractions, we're going to add a section for decimals. And you might need your notes because some of you don't know the different kinds. If I give you the decimal 0.6 and I put a line over it, Destiny, what type of decimal would I call it? There's 3 different types. Say again? How do you know? It's repeating because it has a line over it. And are repeating decimals rational or irrational? Why? Why is something rational or not? Sammy?
Because it can be written as a fraction.
If it can be written as a fraction. So 0.6, because it has that line, is repeating. A repeating decimal is rational because it can be written as a fraction. Looking at the 3 types of decimals, Caleb, what would I call this decimal?
Non-repeating.
Why?
It's not repeating.
What's the clue that lets you know?
The dot, dot, dot.
The dot, dot, dot means it goes on forever. It does not repeat and it does not terminate. A non-repeating decimal, Javier, is that rational or irrational?
Rational.
Why or why not?
Can't be written as a fraction.
It cannot or it can?
No.
It cannot be written as a fraction, so that makes it
Irrational.
irrational.
Do we have a test tomorrow?
Test is tomorrow.
Maybe after we finish our notes, could we do a practice?
I'm hoping we have time when we get out with the notes just to come do some more work, just extra problems. All right, you also might see square roots. Square roots can be different depending on what the square root is. So if you see a square root, you have to just use your calculator to evaluate it. Brianna, what is the square root of 8 when you use your calculator? .828 what? What should I put after it? Dot, 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 because it goes on forever. What do I call that, Brianna? Non-repeating. Which, as Brianna said, is irrational, just like the one above. All non-repeating numbers are irrational numbers because they cannot be written as a fraction. Not all square roots are like that. Devin, what's the square root of 9? Check on your calculator, square root of 9. This is why it's good to have your own calculator, because when you switch between the different types, it gets kind of confusing you on how do I do it? Do I put it first? Do I put it second? What do I do? Devin, you're gonna wanna check with someone on how to do square roots before tomorrow. Destiny, what is it? 3. What type of decimal is 3, Tristan? Terminating, because it has an end. Terminating numbers are what type of number? Rational or irrational?
Rational.
Rational, because
It can be written as a fraction.
how do I write 3 as a fraction?
3 over 1.
3 over 1. You'll also be given fractions and ask what type of decimal is it, and is it rational or irrational? Again, just use your calculator to evaluate it. That fraction bar tells you to do what, Brianna? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. So Morgan, if you do that on your calculator, what decimal do you get? Say again. 9/11. The fraction bar tells me to divide, so I would do 9 divided by 11.
0.818181.
How should I write that? Do I have to write 8181818181? How do I write it? We're not sure. I put a bar over the 81 because it shows that those two numbers over and over and over repeat. Paige, what type of decimal is that?
It's repeating.
It's repeating, which is what type of number?
Rational.
Rational. Of course it is because they gave you the fraction. Anytime you see a fraction, that is rational because it's already written as a fraction. 1/4 is a little bit different. What is the decimal for 1/4? Hopefully you just know that in your head. What is 1/4? Anyone?
0.25.
Yep, 0.25. What type of decimal is that? Anyone? Anyone?
Rational.
Repeating.
It's what?
Repeating.
It's terminating because it has an end. And I heard someone say it's rational. Again, it's written as a fraction, so of course it's rational. Anytime you can write something as a fraction, it's rational. That's pretty much all you need to know for decimals. There's just the 3 different types: repeating, non-repeating, terminating, rational, or irrational. Questions over decimals? All right, on the next section, I would like you to